Do you enjoy this podcast but wish you had more weekly short doses of insights and nuggets? Well, if you didn't know, I recently launched an email newsletter where you can join and connect with a community of like-minded young women around the world, also on the journey of personal growth. This weekly email includes everything from mindful insights and finds, tips on living well, relationships, my personal experiences, and a lot more. Subscribe to get your weekly email newsletter. The link is directly in this podcast episode show notes, or you can head directly to my website at emilyelizabeth.blog and you can sign up from there. I'm Emily Elizabeth, and I'm the host of the What Fulfills You podcast, a show for and about individuals always seeking to be their best selves. On this show, we talk all about building the mindset, finding the right careers, creating meaningful relationships, and so much more. Welcome to the What Fulfills You podcast. Hello, friends. Welcome back to another episode of the What Fulfills You podcast. My name is Emily, and I am your host for today's episode topic. I'm going to be diving into mindful and conscious spending and also how to make side money, especially if you either have your own freelancing business or you are working at a full-time job, and these are ideas that you haven't thought about before. This topic for me came to mind because I've realized it's something that I have worked on and improved on in my own life over the years. It's something that I personally do notice that I tend to be maybe more ahead of the game than other women around my age. And for that reason, I'm always excited and happy to help other people when it comes to ideas of more or less how to get your shit together. And to me, I think this is such an important aspect of life to understand and to know how to do on your own, regardless of your own perspective on life, whether that's, that in the future you might marry someone that is the provider or whatever, and that you don't have to be aware of these things. Trust me, I've asked a lot of different women with different life experiences who are married, maybe they've been divorced before, like a bunch of people, like at least 30 years older than me. One of them also being a woman in her 80s, and I talked about her. This is the couple that I visited in England just about a month ago. But all that to say, these people are always emphasizing the importance of women knowing how to be more aware with their finances. And that goes even into how to invest your money. And that's not something I'm going to really dive into today, but I'm happy to kind of share just a little bit of how I am overall really mindful with my money. So the first area I would dive into is figuring out what is actually worth your money. And you got to be aware that this is different for every single person. I became extremely aware of this once I read and listened to this guy named Ramit Sethi. Some of you may have heard of him before, but he did write a book called I Will Teach You to Be Rich. And he talks about the concept of money dials. And basically, it's instead of splitting everything equally on, like, imagine you're looking at a pie, right? A pie chart, and everything's split equally in terms of where your disposable income is allocated. Well, in the money dials framework, it's really that you're prioritizing 2 to 3 areas of your life and putting majority of your money there, and the rest is either not allocated at all or it's saved up, whatever. So I naturally kind of started doing that once I realized how much more beneficial that is. And I think I was already always doing that naturally, but then I did refine that even more over the years. So for me personally, the number one spending is around convenience. And so that could mean Uber rides or even like DoorDash, like food delivery, things like that. This is just all based on my lifestyle and how it helps me live my best life. That might not be the case for you. So you just have to figure that out what that is for you. The second one for me is experiences. So that would go into traveling, dining out, comedy shows like here in New York, right? Broadway, whatever. Just life in general, things that I can experience and keep with me forever. So that's a second, I guess, money dial that I tend to spend money on. And the third one, which isn't as frequent, but it's also where I don't get shy to spend my money, it is in my home. And that's both the apartment, the cost of it, as well as the design of it. And for me, the reason is because I do spend a good amount of time in my home. I work for myself and I don't go to an office. And so I I spend a lot of time here. And I think because of that, I find it valuable to spend more money than someone my own age, to live on my own, to have a pretty nice apartment in New York, and to also have high quality furniture and just decor that is actually nice. It's not just some like, okay, cheap stuff that I got because I'm only renting, right? And funny enough, as a side tangent, Ramit Sethi has talked about the calculations of renting and how it is not a waste of money to rent, depending on your goals, your life situation, and what city you live in. So, in a city like New York, right, which I've expressed before, my dream would be to eventually buy something here. Maybe that's in 7 years, when it's more practical for me. I understand the cost of what that looks like. That's why I'm saying that's a dream, and that's also definitely a goal further down the line. But I'm not limited. I'm not limiting myself to what is possible. But on the flip side, if you actually were to legitimately crunch the numbers of buying something versus renting something in the city or area that you're looking to live in, you actually will probably see that in a lot of cases, it's more worthwhile to rent. Especially, for example, if you have a plumbing issue or something that needs repair. For me, living in an apartment building or a place where I rent, it's very nice to just call someone and tell them within my apartment building to come fix it. And I don't pay for any repairs. I don't pay for any of that. And, the whole argument is like, well, like when you own something, like it's like you're investing it and you're going back into it. I'm not really going to dive into that, but I'll tell you guys this. If it comes to investment, the comparison of investment in the market and investing in real estate, the ROI is pretty profound in terms of investing long term in the market because real estate is often a very long term investment. You can't liquidate it that fast, right? There's just this mentality, primarily here in the US, that owning a home is the American dream. And I think I'll just say this that you should actually go do the research yourself before you take in maybe what your grandparents or your parents' generation would talk about in terms of buying a home. And um, uh, yeah, I don't know. I just think that I have learned to logically calculate the numbers and recognize that renting is not throwing money away. Also, another side tangent, sorry, before I get into the other topics, if you guys are renting, and you haven't learned or heard about BILT, BILT, that is actually the credit card that I use to pay rent. And before you go, holy fuck, I can't believe you're paying rent with a credit card, I would have said the same thing as well because I am extremely, very like, I try not to spend like the necessities or like, I just try not to spend a lot on a credit card, obviously. But it's quite a hack, and I have a code or a link you can actually use. It's directly in the show notes. But if you're renting, you should be on this. And if you're worried that it's actually you paying on a credit card, it really isn't if you're doing it my way, which is that I'm paying on my apartment building portal. I technically pay with a checking account or an account and route or a routing and account number that BILT provides me that is connected to my credit card. And so it withdraws as if it's a debit. So basically, every month that I pay, I'm paying technically through an account and a routing number. And that then pools from whatever checking account or savings account, even, which for me, it's actually a savings account. I pull from my personal rent savings account, and then I get credit card points for it. So you literally get credit card points and that you can use for traveling. So if your rent is 2000 a month, you could literally be getting 2000 points per month on an expense that you're already paying for. So anyways, again, do your research. I do highly recommend it. I don't use it as an actual like credit pool and where I'm paying rent at the end of the month. I'm actually using legit cash to pay for my rent the way I normally would have, but now I'm just getting credit card points, which I use for travel, and that's how I fly half the time for free or discounted. So, anyways, tangent, but do your research. That's why I'm even talking about this topic in the first place. Okay. So, moving on to other luxuries, because I think this one will definitely get asked about when it comes to clothing and handbags and like how do you allocate or be mindful of spending there, you know? Look, I'm a stylish person. I love fashion. I love shopping for nice clothes and nice handbags and all that. But full transparency, since moving to New York, I obviously had to become more of a minimalist. And I personally enjoy that a lot because moving from LA to New York showed me that I had a lot of things that I didn't really need. And I think it just made me a better person to recognize that there's a lot of things I don't need. I don't need to buy these things anymore. And I can complain all I want about how my closet is smaller. But who fucking cares? Because did I really need those things in the first place? And this is coming from someone, okay, I can be honest. I love Celine bags. I love nice things, okay? I do spend like $300 for a nice blazer. I do. But I'm not going to rack up a bunch of things that I also don't need. I will rewear it. I try to keep things that are timeless. So that's one of the reasons why I don't buy a lot of clothes and handbags. I actually recently sold a Saint Laurent bag that I no longer use. I had it for maybe only 2 years. I'm in the process of selling a Gucci bag that I've had for like over 5 years. I sold other bags that like work tote bags that I just stopped using as frequently. So that's actually the other thing I wanted to get into is that, okay, by buying staple pieces or brands that are higher quality, it's been a lot easier to resell. And I have been selling on Poshmark since I was in high school. Okay, I clearly am very much like a business girl. I love selling and I love getting my bang for the buck. But that's something else to keep in mind. Like, it is harder to resell at least, you know, a piece of clothing that you bought for $100 and it's maybe a fast fashion brand. It's just not going to resell. And again, it adds up because when you're buying from fast fashion or cheaper brands, you tend to, whether you know it or not, accumulate a lot more because it's like not a lot of money. It's like $10 for this shirt or $20 for this shirt, and you're like, "Ooh, I can get three of them." And so, anyways, yeah, it is easier to resell, obviously, designer bags or quality brands. Okay. It doesn't mean that you have to have a Celine bag or something really nice in order to have or to be able to resell. But I'm a lot more mindful now than I was 3 years ago when it came to is this worth the money? Am I really going to use it? Does it fit in my wardrobe almost all seasons? You know, what seasons are best for me to even wear this? Like, what's the utility of it? Am I going to use it frequently? Is this a nighttime bag? Is this a daytime bag? All of that. And so, to be honest with you guys, I only have three handbags that I actually have in my closet right now that I use. You know, either they're like going out for dinner or they're kind of like a daily bag, but they're like small bags, you know? And only two of them are designer. Two of them are Celine. One of them I actually bought on Tradesy 2 years ago, bought it pre-owned. And then the other one is this like small, cute, very luxe looking bag from this brand called Freya, Freja. That one I bought for maybe like 220 bucks. I think it went up by now, but things like that. I only have three bags and I say that also with awareness that, okay, some people could also have 3 bags, but I do know a lot of people that keep like 5 or 10. So, and then I have one laptop bag. I recently sold my work tote bag, and I'm actually trying to sell another tote bag that I don't use anymore, but I only have one little laptop bag now, and it was actually kind of a hand-me-down. So, that's just me giving some full transparency on like my thought process and how I still keep my style and have that timeless luxe look without breaking the bank. And also a side tangent about fast fashion, because I did allude to it earlier. I don't support fast fashion like Zara and Shein and all these brands. And I want to make sure I'm very clear. Like, I'm not taking a jab at anyone that does. But for me personally, that's also another reason why I am very conscious of where my product is made, the quality of it and all of that. And again, I can't get it perfect, right? It's just going to be impossible, but can I minimize the damage that I do in supporting that? Yeah. And so, because of labor laws and potential child labor that I'm not aware of, I just really avoid fast fashion. And then, of course, like I said, with quality clothing, I can actually resell. So that goes for workout clothes like Lululemon or everyday brands like Madewell, Aritzia that I used to wear a lot, Sandro, Maj, Cezanne, like those brands, when I've sold on Poshmark, they would resell really fast and also with a very close like price of what I bought it for. So let's say I bought something for like $90, $100. Let's say I bought jeans for $150 and I sold them for $100. Like to me, that's nice, you know? So, anyways, other things I wanted to get into, things that I don't really spend money on, but others do. And this is where like the mindfulness comes in with spending. Coffee is one of them. Now, I don't have anything against spending $5, $6 on a coffee. I've done it and I still do it, maybe once a week or maybe like 4 times a month is the best way to put it. Like it's gone down a lot compared to, the past 3 years, to be honest. But I just know myself. I drink coffee really slow. I drink a lot of drinks really slow. This is like across the board. My best friends can tell you this, and my boyfriend will tell you this. I drink really slow. And I also have an espresso machine at home. I love making coffee at home. I also love making coffee with a mocha pot. So for me, I just try to get my fix at home and I can save those $5, $6 that keep going down the drain. Because if I do that 4 times a week, let's say 6 times 4, 5 times 4, whatever, 5 times 4, that's $20 a week. 20 times 4, that is $80 a month. And I don't know, $80 could be going towards a nice dinner in New York, you know? So it depends what you value, okay? Another thing that I don't really spend money on in terms of as freely is drinking. So I don't keep any wine at home. I don't buy alcohol to keep at home. I'm very lucky to be also a lifestyle content creator. So for that reason, I do and have gotten gifts from brands like Chopin Vodka, Mezcal Capante. Like I still have all the liquor that they've gifted me, and it's literally sitting on my counter right now, and I don't drink it. I don't use it. But if I want to make cocktails at home, at least it's nice to have, right? So I personally don't spend money there unless it's like, I'm going out for one glass of wine, one glass of cocktail, maybe with dinner. That's usually my thing. But yeah, even that's like 2 to 3 times a month realistically. And I think the other category I wrote down, which is kind of funny, but random Amazon finds. I think that is such a hack for spending when you don't need to. Like they're just like those random things. Like people that tag like their Amazon storefront and stuff. Look, I bought great things from Amazon before and I still do, but I have seen the shit that I bought that it's just like, did you really need that? So I share that because maybe these are some areas that you're currently spending in that you realize you're wasting a little bit of money in these areas and you could pull back and you could reallocate your disposable income on things that matter to you more, right? So that's something, again, you're going to have to figure out on your own is what do I care about more and what do I care about most? And when it comes to reselling, you guys, I that's one of my favorite ways to make side money. There is no other pleasure for me personally than selling. Like recently, I sold my old Olympus camera. I also sold my Canon G37X camera. And these are things that I've had in my closet for years, okay? And there are times where I've gone through my closet and I would just stare at things I haven't touched in a long time and I get excited because I start to write down how much I could make from selling it because I'm being such a dipshit for leaving it in my closet because quite literally it's $500 sitting in my closet that I could liquidate. Okay. I'm such a nerd for that shit. And I do get made fun of by my boyfriend for this, but I love doing that. And so I will sell on Poshmark. I said that before. Facebook Marketplace, like I sold my camera on there. Um, yeah, like there's other marketplaces that you can sell. And I think often one of the big reasons why we're not reselling is because we're lazy, right? And I'm a culprit of that. But there have been times where I was like, I could use some extra cash right now. What are some things in my closet that I could sell? Or, you know what I mean? Like I'm very mindful of trying to make back the money that I spent and that I invested. And these are little hacks that I do that actually help contribute to my lifestyle. And I think I think people get surprised when they hear that from me. Like, of course, I make, okay, like money from my business, like my marketing agency, and that's actually what I'm living off of. But there is nothing more, it's like a kid selling lemonade, right? Like, you make $500 in cash for selling your camera. You make another $200 for selling that old bag that you don't use anymore. Like it adds up and it's such a nice feeling, right? It's just kind of like, look at this cash that I can use to now save or, at least pay off for anyone. Like it's like you can pay off debt if you have any, or, just pay off, use it to cash in on your credit card statement, right? It's just like so many different ways to actually be more mindful and conscious of spend, how you save and spend money. And I'll leave it on this because I alluded to it earlier in terms of long-term investments. And if you're kind of already past all of this, where you know that you're pretty good with your money, but you also want to be more aware of what you can do with it outside of just saving. So, my rule of thumb personally is trying to have 3 months of cost of living cash in a high yield savings account. At the same time, I will simultaneously also invest into long-term investments and also my own future retirement. So, if you are working at a company right now where you have an employer, 401k, then it's obviously best that you're maxing that out. But if you have more disposable income that you could be allocating into another retirement or long-term investment account, I would highly recommend looking into a Roth IRA. And that's actually what I did when I left my corporate job. I did a rollover IRA. I took out whatever I had in that 401k and rolled it over into a Roth IRA for myself, which I put my own money in, obviously, right? And yeah, I'll just put it this way, I felt more empowered with myself, my self-confidence, and my ability to navigate my own life and my own finances once I started figuring these things out. And this for me occurred about 2 years ago. So I was around 24, 25 years old when I finally was like, okay, how can I be even smarter with my money? And reading that book, I Would Teach You to Be Rich, that helped me open a high yield savings account. That helped me automate a process where every month on a certain day, money is drawn from my savings account into my Roth IRA. So I don't even have to think about investing it myself, and so forth. So if you're someone that is interested in like getting your shit together in that regard as well, I highly recommend that book and also just taking some notes from this and reflecting on where you care to spend your money. And it doesn't matter what your friends think, it doesn't matter what your family thinks. And I know that's a whole nother obstacle to get over, especially if you do have some of those obstacles when it comes to outside noise. But trust me, there's nothing more empowering than feeling like you are in control and in the driver's seat of your own life. That is all I have for today's episode. I hope this one was helpful, was note-taking worthy, and it got your wheels turning in terms of what you can do differently in your own life when it comes to mindfully spending, making side money, and of course, saving and investing for the long term. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to share this on your Insta story, tag the podcast Instagram and my own. It's at What Fulfills You and at Emily E. Duong. Send me a DM, as always, if you've enjoyed this one or other topics you would love to hear. I love connecting with you all. I did recently connect with a new listener, so shout out to you. I think her name was Cindy, for reaching out to me over Instagram and sharing your thoughts and what you love about this podcast. It means the world. I love chatting with you all. So don't be a stranger. Thank you again. And I will chat with you all in the next episode.